All eyes on the island of Palm Beach tonight. The FBI conducting a search at the home of former President Donald Trump.
Now, the former president calling it a raid. He and the town's police department both say they had no advance warning any search was about to take place. According to multiple reports, the search is related to a probe of whether the former president took classified records from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. It's reportedly tied into an investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, so far, the Justice Department, FBI, and the White House have not commented on the search. Tonight, the search is being viewed through political lens.
Members of the GOP have slammed the search as undemocratic, unconstitutional, and politically driven. Some are even calling it a weaponization of the country's justice system.
Contact 5 investigator Katie LaGrone goes in depth with experts who say we likely have to wait and see.
Shortly after former President Trump, once the nation's most powerful leader, announced the nation's highest law enforcement agency had executed a search warrant at his home, top Republicans were quick to politicize the unprecedented pursuit and defend the ex-president, who himself described the search as an attack by radical left Democrats.
People who take power, like becoming president, now use that power to persecute their past or future political opponents. We've never seen that.
The raid is another escalation in the weaponization of federal agencies, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tweeted.
Why shouldn't we look at this as a politicization of the U.S. justice system?
Well, first of all, again, we don't have enough facts. We have to see the warrant. We have to see what materials the FBI actually found and took away from his residence.
Bob Jarvis is a law professor at Nova Southeastern University.
The DOJ and the FBI, they are non-political institutions, and they have to do their job regardless of what the political fallout might be. So they had no choice. If they thought that there was the possibility that a crime had been committed, they had to do what they did.
But couldn't there have been other less intrusive means, a court hearing, a subpoena?
So, of course, the FBI had visited Trump's residence before. They had asked for the boxes to be secured, and a padlock was then put on the door. So it's not like they did not already have discussions with Trump's lawyers about this.
The search, which is reportedly focused on classified documents Trump allegedly took from the White House, required a lengthy process and even higher threshold and approval at the highest levels of the DOJ, explains former Florida-based FBI Special Agent John McVeigh.
They know the laws. The management is extremely proficient at what they're doing. They're not just going to go ahead and execute a warrant that they believe has no probable cause.
While knowing, both of these experts say, the political implications and consequences of getting it wrong couldn't be greater.
Knowing how much criticism they would receive, I think we're on fairly safe ground to say that the DOJ and the FBI did not take this step without lots and lots and lots of thought and consideration.
Katie LaGrone, WPTV News Channel 5.